Hi, welcome to the Dynamic Duel podcast, where we review superhero films and debate the superiority between Marvel and DC by comparing their characters in crossover battle simulations. I'm Johnny DC.
And I'm his twin brother, Marvelous Joe.
In this episode, another Duel episode. Really cool. Two characters I think are really cool. Maybe not so much the Marvel one, but Black Lightning versus Storm. Black Lightning is all the rage right now, at least to me. He has his own show.
He's really made a comeback.
Show.
Like a few years ago, like no one was even talking about Black Lightning, and all of a sudden he's a big deal again. I don't know why. I don't know why any DC character is a big deal, but
I think it's because of the show. But I mean, in the comics, he's sort of going through this rebirth.
Did he have like a resurgence in the New 52 kind of thing?
Not really.
No?
But I mean, if he ever did, it's now.
Yeah.
The guy who created him is writing him again, and he's going through. I don't want to call it like a reboot because it's not. He's just kind of
a renaissance.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. Well, Storm doesn't need a renaissance because she's always been relevant and awesome.
Marvel goes through a renaissance every year.
Okay, valid. You didn't have to go there. That was cold. All right, it should be a good fight, though. Both element-wielding badasses. I have to say one of them seems more powerful than the other. I'm not sure how Black Lightning is even going to show up for this fight.
Oh, dude, you have no idea.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
To me, like, this is not even a fair fight. Like, going through his power sets.
He shoots lightning.
Week, I'm like,
Storm does that every day.
Storm's going to die.
Okay, we'll see. All right. I might be surprised. Yeah. You never know.
Before we get into the main event, the news, not a big news week. No Marvel news, surprisingly.
There hasn't been Marvel news in like a while.
Well, I think it's because, Black Panther came out. There typically isn't like, they're still kind of, the big news is Black Panther's success.
Yeah, it breaking all the records, definitely going to cross $1 billion at the box office. Super proud of it for doing such a good job.
But big deal. Disney breaks another box office record. That's not really news.
It is news that Black Panther made more opening weekend than Justice League did in its entire theatrical run domestically.
I hate you. Why? I didn't actually know that. I didn't know that. That hurts.
It did.
It hurts a little bit. Yeah.
And that's Superman and Batman, so that's surprising. It's surpassed all expectations, and
but we're not going to.
Oh, we're not talking about it.
We don't really talk about it.
It's not a news item.
And
it's cool, but it's not necessarily news.
It is cool, yeah.
What is the news?
What we do want to talk about is Joss Whedon leaving Batgirl.
Uh-huh.
That's huge.
That is huge.
And then another minor news item, it's exciting for me at least, is we get our first look at Braniac and his ship from the TV show Krypton that's coming out.
It's exciting because it's so accurate.
Yeah.
So, we'll talk about that. But let's go ahead and jump into a little segment I like to call No Prize Time. And it's not really a new segment. It just officially got its own audio drop. So, but we would like to give a big congratulations to both Tim Brown and Andrew C. Narveson.
Right.
I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. They gave our favorite answers for last episode's question of the week, which was, what is your favorite animated feature from Marvel or DC? And they both answered Batman Mask of the Phantasm, which honestly, when I asked the question last week, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I don't. Honestly, shame on me.
In a way, it's
I love that. It was
so good.
Yeah. I mean, just in terms of what it did story-wise, like it was Batman Begins before Batman Begins came out. Like it was the first time, because the animated series never went into Bruce Wayne's origin, you know, right. And even in the comics, other than year one, like we didn't really have too much around Bruce Wayne like becoming Batman. And with Mask of the Phantasm, they really delved into that. And it was just a really interesting and really like dark story.
It was an interesting precursor to the Warner animation universe kind of that they have going on right now.
Oh yeah, hands down.
Because a lot of those movies are done in the same style as Bruce Timm's artwork, who did animate Batman, the animated series.
Right.
So yeah, it was a big moment for animated superhero theatrical films. That hasn't really taken off too much. You don't see too many animated superhero theatrical films. Although we did get The Killing Joke in theaters last year. But that was a limited engagement kind of thing.
Yeah. It was a great answer. It was the best answer you could have given. Because that is hands down, I think, the best animated superhero feature that's ever been done. Incredibles doesn't count because fuck the Incredibles. But like my answer would have been Batman Under the Red Hood.
That's your favorite?
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen like Flashpoint. A few people gave that answer. Quite a few people gave Under the Red Hood as their answer as well.
Oh, yeah, I think it was Spees, Baker, Joel Seagrave. They all answered Under the Red Hood. I saw that movie and I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was really badass.
It was real gritty. I think my favorite animated superhero feature film actually was Big Hero 6, which actually, I didn't even know that was a comic book until they announced that they were working on it as a project.
Yeah.
And so I had to like look into it. I never ever read the comics. The only characters I recognized were Sunfire and Silver Samurai. But they kind of did what Blade did, the movie Blade did, is that they took these characters and made them way better than they ever were in the comics. And now the Big Hero 6 comic book, which I think was only shortly lived after this movie came out, really took those characters and kind of like expanded upon them. And they were just all the better for it. I thought it was pretty cool. So it was like loosely based off a Marvel comic. It wasn't really a Marvel comic, but it technically counts.
I feel like they kind of downplayed the Marvel comic aspect of it. Like it was more of a Pixar film than a Marvel film.
Right. You know? Well, it didn't have the Marvel logo in front of it. If I recall correctly, it had like the Disney logo.
I think even on the poster. Geez, I need to double check this now. I don't think it even had the Marvel logo on that.
No. But like in the comics, I remember Baymax. He wasn't like an inflatable like first aid robot. He was a dragon. So it kind of threw me off. Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, the Marvel logo's not on here.
No, but I still count it. It is based off of a Marvel comic.
All right. Yeah,
so that was my favorite.
Cool.
So congrats again to Bruce Timm and Andrew C. Narveson. You guys win the No Prize. If you don't know what a No Prize is, it's an award that Marvel used to give out from the 60s to the late 80s to those who wrote fan letters and met certain criteria. Our version, the Dynamic Duel No Prize, it's just a digital award that you can see on our social media that we personally draw up for those who feel we gave the best answer to our question of the week. And we have another question of the week that we'll be asking this episode, so stay tuned for that to listen for that.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with the No Prizes, definitely follow us on social media so you get a chance to see them. Yeah. We've actually started posting like time-lapse videos of the drawing that goes on the No Prizes. And I think they're cool, but I just draw them. So,
yeah, he does a really good job. So check those out if you get a chance.
Thanks.
Yep. Go ahead and search for Dynamic Duel Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, and you'll find us there.
And just real quick, whatever you're listening to us on, subscribe to us. We're a weekly podcast.
Yeah, it keeps you up to date on all the latest comic book movie news, and keeps you up to date on all the characters as well.
And all our duels and reviews and everything like that. But speaking of news, on to the news. Okay, so the Hollywood Reporter broke the news that Joss Whedon is exiting Batgirl. Well, he did exit.
I kind of saw this coming.
I'm not surprised. Yeah.
I would have been surprised if this movie even came to theaters. Like, I didn't see them actually going through with it. DC has so many projects in development that there's no way that they were going to get through them all without essentially breaking their own continuity. And Batman would have to be in about half of them. And you have a Batman who's reluctant to be even in the next Batman movie. So it's all kind of tricky.
Yeah. The quote he gave to the Hollywood Reporter I thought was interesting. I'm going to read it really quick. He said, "Batgirl is such an exciting project, and Warner's DC such collaborative and supportive partners that it took me months to realize I really didn't have a story," Whedon on Thursday told the Hollywood Reporter. In referring to Jeff Johns and Toby Emmerich, he said, "I'm grateful to Jeff and Toby and everyone who was so welcoming when I arrived and so understanding when I, is there a sexier word for failed? Now, I don't really believe that he didn't have a story."
Well, yeah, why would he approach them, or why would they approach him? Why would it be in development if he didn't have a story? Although, that being said, when he was in development on Wonder Woman, his story for Wonder Woman wasn't the greatest. It certainly wasn't nearly as good as the Wonder Woman film that we eventually
No, I couldn't even make it through the screenplay. When that was released online, it was definitely not a good take on Wonder Woman.
So maybe that's what he's talking about. Maybe he had a treatment or maybe even a script, and it just wasn't good enough.
I wonder how much of this has to do with like this whole kind of like Me Too movement as well. You know, his ex-wife really, I think, has tried to destroy his reputation. I think she's succeeded. You know, if
I certainly view him a different way than what I used to. The creep factor was upped a little bit when you start hearing about the reports about what he would do to these women.
Oh, I didn't hear that. I heard that like he had affairs and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, basically he would take advantage of his position of authority over them, basically, which constitutes a form, I guess, of sexual harassment, the quid pro quo kind of thing. So I don't know if that's what happened specifically, but the fact that he had these multiple affairs and admitted to people that he would take advantage of these women kind of left a bad taste in my mouth.
I heard he admitted it to his wife in a letter.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
That was weird. Anyway, that's very gossipy. I feel very dirty now.
It's a completely different topic. But
I'm definitely not surprised. But honestly, in my opinion, don't make a Batgirl movie. Wait.
Make a Birds of Prey movie, I would say.
Yeah. I agree. Make a Birds of Prey.
Because I'm trying to think of what's Batgirl's best solo story. As a Marvel guy, the only thing that comes to mind is The Killing Joke, and she gets paralyzed in that.
Yeah. I think you definitely need to establish Batgirl as a character before you turn her into Oracle.
Right.
Before you turn her to someone else.
Yeah.
Can you do Birds of Prey without Oracle? I guess you could.
Yeah.
She could be Batgirl.
You could.
They should go that route. I agree. I completely agree. I would love to see that. So, yeah, I mean, he's off the project. I'm kind of glad. I didn't really care for Justice League or, the changes. I still want my Snyder cut, even though I know the studio is never going to give that to us. But, based on the allegations, based on Justice League, based on, all these other factors going on in society right now, I'm, again, not surprised.
It was also kind of somewhat confirmed that the Nightwing film is off the table right now, or not a priority. Right?
It wasn't confirmed. There was a report. I forgot from where. Was it the hashtag show? I forget. But that's the rumor right now.
Well, because the director
Nightwing is not a priority.
Chris McKay, he's now signed on to do a Dungeons and Dragons film. So.
Yeah. If they get to Nightwing, it's not going to be until after that. Which is fine by me, honestly.
Which is fine, yeah, because I always thought they should deprioritize the Bat family films and really focus on
establishing their Batman.
Yeah, in this continuity.
I want a Batman film. I want another Superman film.
Yes.
In
addition to this Wonder Woman sequel, the Flash film, and the Green Lantern film.
I think Warner Brothers needs audiences to really care about Superman again. And I think that they... everyone cares about Batman. Batman's the most popular superhero ever, So everyone's going to flock to see a Batman movie, but they also want what Marvel has is this, continuity. Yeah. Obviously, they're making billions of dollars off of it.
Yeah.
That's what people want to see.
Right.
So,
yeah. All right, moving on to Braniac.
Yeah. So we haven't talked too much about Krypton. Sometimes they have little snippets of teasers, but it's nothing really to sink your teeth in. This is something to sink your teeth in.
The first big meaty content.
Yeah, they released an image of Braniac. And this image, you think I would have the actor's name on hand. I don't, unfortunately, but he looks like he's ripped straight from the comics.
It's pretty accurate.
It is super, from the green skin to the head plugs to even the purple circle lights on his black suit. It's pulled straight from a Jeff Johns comic. They were looking at that and they were like, let's do that exactly.
Which is what they should always do.
Yeah, totally. We've had live action versions of Brainiac before, in Smallville.
I never saw them.
But they weren't cool, at all. This is cool. He looks exactly how Brainiac should look. It reminds me a lot of Injustice 2. And that's a really great version of Brainiac. They also released, I think it was the day after that, this sort of behind the scenes promo where you have Jeff Johns and David Goyer talking. And it looks like, I didn't realize Jeff Johns was involved with this. I knew David Goyer was because he wrote Man of Steel. And supposedly it's supposed to have some kind of tie-in with that.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm glad to see Jeff Johns and David Goyer working again together.
That's right, because they wrote JSA for a while.
And I loved that JSA run.
Yeah.
It was really good. David Goyer is just a good writer. And so is Jeff Johns. So, I think they work really well together. But in that promo, not only do you see Adam Strange.
You see Adam Strange?
Yeah.
Did I totally miss him? He wasn't in costume.
No, he wasn't in costume.
But that's Adam Strange.
He's just some guy in a hoodie. Totally out of the setting, which, granted he should be because he's not Kryptonian.
They're accurate with Brainiac, but they're not accurate with Adam Strange.
It appears that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, my excitement just dipped a little bit.
Sorry.
You raised me up with the Brainiac, with the accurate look for Brainiac, and then you kind of lost me a little bit again.
Did you see Brainiac's ship?
Yeah, I did. It looks really cool.
Wait, so you saw? Did you see a photo of it?
No, I watched the trailer. I just don't remember Adam Strange.
Oh, well, the guy who was talking to Seg-El, I forget his name.
Yeah,
that's Adam Strange.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like him. That's why I didn't know.
That doesn't at all.
Eh.
We'll see how the show goes. Again, I have no idea how I'm going to watch this, but I'm going to try and at least watch the pilot.
Is Braniac a time traveler?
No.
So how does he end up in this timeline?
No, he can be. He can be a time traveler. Like, versions from him in the future have come, like, to the past. Like,
Brainiac 13.
Brainiac 13, exactly. And I know Brainiac has, like, gone to the end of time to, like, rescue Doomsday. You remember my really, really lengthy bio on Doomsday? I mentioned that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he can travel through time.
So do we think that's what he did here?
No. I don't think so.
What is Brainiac's origin? Like, I thought in the cartoon he was Krypton's, like, computer brain or something.
And that was a cool interpretation of the character. But no, he's actually a Coluan. Oh. He's an alien.
Okay.
Yeah, the Coluans have hyper intelligence, and he's a Coluan who is going out.
It's like a collector of endangered species or something.
He's also creating endangered species. He's like destroying planets and taking like the last surviving remnant of them, like capturing cities and storing them in bottles for study and stuff like that.
What a dickhead!
Yeah, he's a cool villain. I can't wait to see him. Like, if I could have gotten like Zack Snyder to direct a movie with Brainiac as the villain, that would have been insane.
Well, I think he would make a great villain for a Man of Steel sequel. So it's kind of weird that they're using him here. If they are using him here, it must mean that they got the go-ahead from the studio, since they won't be using him in any sort of sequel or anything. That's what it seems like.
Damn it. You're right.
Yep.
That sucks.
Yep. Maybe someday in 10 years, 20 years. You know how DC goes. All right, I think that does it. That brings us to our question of the week.
Who do you think was the best villain from a Marvel or DC television live-action series? Keyword, live action. Can't
words.
Not everyone can say that Mark Hamill's the Joker. All right. Post your answer to our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or you can email us at dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com. We're going to pick our favorite answer from the bunch and draw that person a Dynamic Duel No Prize with their name on it that we post on social media.
I already know who I have in mind, but I'm interested in hearing what you guys have to say. So I think that does it for the news, and let's go ahead and get into our duel of Black Lightning versus Storm.
All right, so main event time, Black Lightning versus Storm. If you haven't listened to us before, what we do here is a little different from other like versus matchup people
channels,
things that do something similar.
There's no fan votes. There's no like uncharacteristic feats of strength.
Right. I know some channels and stuff, they'll just talk about like, oh, this is the most powerful this character has ever been. Well, they're not always that powerful.
Right.
So we
use math.
Yeah, we use
what's
statistics. It's statistics.
The Monte Carlo method, which basically you take the superhero's statistic, which we get from Marvel's official power rankings, and then you can put that number along a bell curve and randomly generate a number along that curve. And when you add up the totals, you can compare them against the other characters, and you get a winner that way.
Yeah, it's used in a lot of like risk management and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's a pretty accurate way of determining who would win in a match. And so that's what we do.
Yeah.
Again, as Joseph said, most of our stats are based on the Marvel power rankings. We extrapolate DC stats from that, and we include a few more that we think are relevant to the fight. Mm-hmm. And we run that simulation 1,000 times. So we end up with a percentage of who would win a majority of the time. It's never 100%. There's always one way for one character to beat another, as we see, like stories like The Dark Knight where Batman beats Superman. So again, we get a percentage and
determine the winner that way.
Yep.
Before we run those simulations, though, we like to give a breakdown of the character's history and abilities, and then we like to speculate on how we think one of those simulations would go.
Yeah, and I think you're up first this time.
I think you're right.
So I think I know a lot about Storm.
You don't know shit about Storm. Let me tell you about Storm.
Let's hear it.
Okay, Storm. Did you know that the mutant Aurora Monroe, who is the longtime member of the X-Men with the ability to control the weather, she was born in Manhattan, New York. Did you know that?
I thought she was African.
Well, you thought wrong.
What the heck?
She was born in Manhattan to Kenyan princess named Ndare and an American photojournalist named David Monroe. Her parents met in Kenya, and they lived in New York when the child was born, and then moved to Cairo when she was 6 months old for David's work. Aurora was born into a lineage of African magic priestesses, all of whom had white hair and blue eyes. When she was 5, a plane crashed into their home during the Arabic-Israeli conflict. And so the plane crashed into their home, and it collapsed the home and killed her mother and her father. Aurora survived, but she was trapped under the rubble near her mom's body, a traumatic incident that instilled in her a severe case of claustrophobia. Storm managed to escape the rubble, but she was now orphaned, homeless, and alone. She grew up on the streets of Cairo, serving as a thief for a local crime lord. She became quite skilled at picking pockets and locks, though she did fail the crime lord once as she tried unsuccessfully to steal from Charles Xavier when he was touring through Egypt. Xavier realized she would become a mutant one day, but did not tell her at the moment. At age 12, Aurora decided to abandon the thief's lifestyle and flee south toward her mother's home country of Kenya. Along the way, she had a near-death experience trying to cross the Sahara Desert alone, but her mutant powers manifested and she was able to save herself by creating an oasis. Soon after, she first met a young T'Challa, aka the future Black Panther, as he was exploring the continent in a rite of passage. They were attracted to each other but were unable to develop a relationship due to T'Challa's obligations as prince. When Aurora reached her ancestral homeland in the Kilimanjaro Valley on the Serengeti Plain in Kenya, she was worshipped as a goddess due to her abilities. Meanwhile, Professor Xavier was forming the original X-Men team, and years later was forced to recruit her, along with Wolverine, Nightcrawler, Thunderbird, Sunfire, Banshee, and Colossus, in an effort to save the original team from a sentient island called Krakoa. She was given the codename Storm, and she stayed on as a member of the new X-Men team. There, she became close friends with Jean Grey and became an invaluable member of the team in battles against the likes of Magneto, the Sentinels, and Juggernaut. After the Phoenix Saga, in which Jean apparently died, Cyclops left the team and Storm took up the mantle as the X-Men's new leader. She led the team to defeat the likes of the Badoon, the Brood, and the Shi'ar, but she ceded team leadership back to Cyclops after he had become part of the X-Men again for a while.
Do her powers work in space? Because those were like three alien races.
Yeah, her powers do work in space.
What?
She can control the weather of like alternate planets. Like whatever weather they have on that planet, she can control that.
Weird. That's actually cool.
Yeah. So later, she became the leader of the underground community of mutants called the Morlocks by challenging their then leader Callisto to a hand-to-hand combat duel in order to free her teammate Archangel from captivity and to put an end to the Morlocks' hostilities against the surface-dwelling humans.
A hand-to-hand combatant?
Yeah.
Is she even good at that?
Yeah, man. Bet you didn't know that.
Well, who trained her?
Wolverine, Yukio, and Black Panther. Her powers were stripped away for a time by a special gun developed by and stolen from her teammate Forge. She quit the X-Men and instead served as a mentor of sorts to Professor X's new mutant team called the New Mutants. Forge was later able to grant Storm her powers again, and she rejoined the X-Men and eventually became its co-leader alongside Cyclops as the X-Men separated into blue and gold strike teams. Around this time, they were able to defeat Onslaught, the Prime Sentinels, and Apocalypse. In the Age of Apocalypse alternate timeline, the ultimate extent of her powers were revealed as she had evolved into a purely elemental being, but just in that timeline. In her regular timeline, she formed a splinter team of X-Men known as the Extreme Sanctions Executive that worked with the United Nations as an international mutant police force. During that time, she reunited with T'Challa of Wakanda and stayed in Africa to help the mutants there, who lost their powers after the events of M-Day, which is the event in which the Scarlet Witch stripped most of the world's mutants of their abilities. She married T'Challa and became Queen of Wakanda, a role that, according to Professor Xavier, embodied his vision of mutant and human relations. She and Black Panther secretly provided support to Captain America's Secret Avengers during the Civil War crisis and successfully repealed a Skrull invasion of Wakanda. Though their marriage eventually came to an end when Storm sided with the X-Men in the Avengers vs. X-Men storyline, and Wakanda was subsequently destroyed by Namor wielding the Phoenix Force. She rejoined the X-Men and became the headmistress of the newly formed Jean Grey's School for Mutants. Her school was ideologically opposed to Cyclops' more radicalized mutant faction on Utopia, and she tried to stop the Inhumans vs. X-Men fight, but was only able to broker a truce between the races after Cyclops' death. So as far as powers and abilities go, Storm is a mutant with what's called atmokinesis, which is the ability to psionically manipulate the weather in her general vicinity. This includes the temperature of her environment, the humidity and moisture, the electromagnetic charges of the atmospheric particulate matter around her, and atmospheric pressure. She can build on those basic foundations of her power simultaneously to create effects like lightning, both from the sky and from her immediate vicinity. She can create extreme temperatures, both hot and cold, though typically not outside of the realm of what's possible on the planet. She can create all forms of precipitation, from a light drizzle to a torrential downpour, as well as all types of sleet, snow, and hail. She can create strong enough winds to lift her off the ground to fly, and even create tornado and hurricane force winds. She can create mists and fogs that render her near invisible within them due to the light bending through the air's moisture.
What?
In addition to her ability to control the weather, she has a sensory attunement to the weather patterns and air movement around her, including the locations of objects within the nearby atmosphere. This makes it very difficult not only to sneak up on her, but also gives her an added edge in physical combat and the ability to find her way in complete darkness, like a mild version of Daredevil's radar sense. In addition to those mutant powers, she has special skills such as thieving. She has moderate hand-to-hand combat skills due to her training from Wolverine, his ally Yukio, as well as her former husband, the Black Panther. And she is an adept tactician due to her time as High Priestess of the Kenyan tribe, leader of the X-Men, and queen of the Wakandan people. She does have one weakness in that she is highly claustrophobic, but I don't see that playing a role in this fight.
No, I won't need to. But again, I say this with the Thor matches. It's just bad weather, like big whoop.
Yeah, bad weather that'll fuck you up.
Rain, wind.
Yeah, dude. How many times have you seen stories in the news of bad weather ruining homes, like people getting struck by lightning? It's crazy shit.
Yeah, not Black Lightning.
Did you learn anything about Storm? Like you thought you knew, or
that was pretty quick. That went by quicker than I thought it would. I think I knew most of that.
You didn't know shit. I don't know why I'm so angry right now.
You all think you know Storm. I was a fan before you were. That kind of thing.
Yeah. All right, so really I don't know anything about Black Lightning, so
let me educate you.
Surprise me.
Black Lightning was DC's first black superhero to have his own title. He was created by comic writer Tony Isabella, who formerly wrote Luke Cage for Marvel. They're both bulletproof black superheroes, which was just as relevant back in 1997 when Black Lightning was created as it is today. And that's probably the reason why Black Lightning has his own television show right now. If you're not watching that show, just as an aside, definitely start watching it. It's far better than Luke Cage. And I'd say it may be more relevant than the Black Panther movie. Yes.
Oh, that's not a biased opinion at all.
No, it's not. Watch it. You should watch it.
No.
Okay, so Jefferson Pierce was a community hero long before he was an international superhero. He grew up in a neglected, gang-ridden section of Metropolis known as Suicide Slum. His father, Alvin Pierce, was an acclaimed investigative journalist who was accidentally killed during a mob hit when Jefferson was just a boy. It wasn't too long after his father's death that Jefferson was lucky enough to meet a good man named Peter Gamby, who opened a tailor shop below the apartment where Jefferson lived with his mother and sister. Gamby mentored the young Jefferson and cared for him while Jefferson's mother worked. And one thing he taught Jefferson was an old quote that would stick with him his entire life. Justice, like lightning, should ever appear to some men hope, and to other men fear.
That makes no sense. Okay. It rhymes, but okay.
Think about it. All right. Just hit rewind. Play it again. Jefferson excelled in his studies and in athletics. After graduating from Garfield High School in Metropolis, he qualified for the Olympics and won several medals. He gained fame for his story of how an Olympic athlete rose from Suicide Slum, and he earned scholarships that paid.
Summer Olympics or Winter Olympics?
Summer.
Which sport?
I think they were mostly track.
Okay.
Track events, yeah. He because of his story, he gained scholarships that paid for his way through Kent State University, where he received his teaching degree. And after graduation, he went to the Olympics again and won a gold medal in the decathlon event.
Oh, nice.
He began teaching at a school in an upstate town of New Carthage. He married a young woman named Lynn Stewart, and they had a daughter named Anissa. They had a happy, successful life. They decided, however, to return to Suicide Slum after Jefferson's mother died, and Jefferson saw that his town was worse than ever, ravaged by a gang known as the 100. Because the people of Suicide Slum...
Are there 100 of them?
Yes, there could only be 100. No, I don't know. Because the people of Suicide Slum looked up to him, he decided to accept a position as principal at his old high school, Garfield High. It wasn't long before he came into conflict with the 100 gang, trying to push drugs onto his students. In retaliation for Jefferson's meddling, the 100 gang killed one of his students. They basically crucified him in the school gym.
Dang.
Yeah. Distraught, Jefferson went to his old mentor, Peter Gamby, who reminded him of the "justice like lightning" quote, and convinced Jefferson to fight the gangs using a less public persona that wouldn't invite gang retaliation against his students or loved ones. Gamby fashioned and engineered a belt for Jefferson that would generate an electric force field and allow him to fire lightning bolts. Jefferson went out and defended his town as Black Lightning, earning the respect of heroes like Superman, Batman, and Green Arrow as he took down the 100 gang and their large albino leader. His name is Tobias Whale, who I will fully admit seems like a ripoff of Kingpin. I will admit that.
Well, I mean, that doesn't surprise me. It's DC.
It wasn't a complete victory, however. Remnants of the 100 tried to assassinate Black Lightning, but Gamby jumped in front of the shotgun blast that was meant for Black Lightning. He didn't have his force field belt, so that's why he jumped.
Huh.
The next shot was going to kill Jefferson, but in that moment he learned, surprisingly, that he had somehow internalized the belt's power and was able to use his own bioelectric field to generate lightning. It would later be explained that this was because of a dormant metagene within him.
Oh, he was a mutant?
A metahuman.
A mutant. Okay.
And even later, it was retconned so that he was born with electric metahuman powers. They kind of got rid of the belt thing.
Uh-huh.
And Gamby helped suppress that power within him as a child. Gamby confessed as he died that he was the one who killed Jefferson's father accidentally, and that he had raised Jefferson as penance for what he had done before he opened up the tailor shop.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So the main conflict surrounding Black Lightning stories is that while he is bulletproof, ordinary people in his community are not, and he cares about them enough that he initially declined membership to the Justice League to remain a street-level hero. And though he is a team player, he was Batman's first pick to join his clandestine Outsiders super team, alongside other heroes like Katana, Metamorpho, Geoforce, and Halo. Together, they took on secret missions that were too low profile or political for the Justice League. Mm-hmm. Not that it wasn't important enough, they were just too secretive.
Yeah.
So when Lex Luthor became president of the United States, Jefferson Pierce retired from superheroics for a time to serve as the Secretary of Education. It was a controversial decision amongst many of his super friends, but having been raised in Metropolis, Jefferson saw it as a strategic move to keep tabs on Luthor. The decision ended up being a boon when Luthor was eventually kicked out of office and Jefferson was asked to resign. Many of the supervillain community thought Black Lightning was loyal to Luthor, and he was able to gain valuable intel that way. By this time, Jefferson's daughter Anissa had grown up and become the superhero Thunder, much to his dismay.
She was a mutant too?
Yes, a metahuman. Metahuman.
You just admitted it.
Metahuman.
Okay.
She would join another version of the Outsiders team and actually saved Jefferson once when he was framed for murder and imprisoned. Jefferson had another daughter, Jennifer, who would grow into the hero Lightning and be recruited into the Justice Society as a teenager. Now, whether he's in costume or not, Black Lightning serves as an inspiration not only to his family, but to his community and to other superheroes in general, including brilliant minds like Batman or Mr. Terrific, or up-and-comers like Static. You know Static, right?
Yeah, Static Shock.
Well, his name is Static.
Whatever, Static Shock.
Cool. As an Olympic gold medalist in top physical condition and as one of the top educators in the country, Jefferson Pierce was a force to be reckoned with even before he became Black Lightning. As Black Lightning, Jefferson can generate force fields and emit and control electricity in a variety of ways, including shooting lightning bolts, including beaming electromagnetic waves to shut down electronics or move metallic objects like telekinesis.
So you can create like magnetic fields around metallic objects?
Yeah, and move them.
Okay.
He could also absorb electrical energy to enhance his power, making him stronger, faster, and even able to heal more quickly by stimulating and renewing damaged cells. He can also turn into electricity and travel through wires and fly, sort of like teleportation, and he can generate localized lightning storms by ionizing the air around him. So basically, he could do all things electricity, and basically, Storm is fucked.
All she has to do is not hit him with electricity. Now that I know that she knows that. No, not really. So is that it for your bio?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and speculate on how we think one of these matches will go. The stipulations that we set up for the match are that 1, they don't know anything about each other. 2, they start about 50 yards apart from each other. 3, they do know that each other are a threat that they have to eliminate. And 4, since we don't take stats for the environment, we assume that the fight takes place in a place where the environment does not play a factor into the battle.
Right.
All right, so how does this start? I'll let you go first.
Okay, so it starts off with Black Lightning blasting Storm with a shit ton of electricity, and she dies.
Maybe I should go first.
All right.
Okay, so it starts off with Storm. She sees her opponent, doesn't know anything about him, knows he's a threat. She might wait to see what he might do. He does have this huge lightning motif on his costume, though.
That's very
so she
true.
may deduce that he shoots lightning. Now, she herself is not protected against being struck by lightning. However, she can counter his lightning with her lightning. I think what her first move is going to be is to create a mist that enshrouds her to hide her from him.
Oh, interesting.
So he may shoot lightning at her. Whatever lightning he shoots initially, she's going to counter with her own lightning while simultaneously enshrouding herself in a mist.
Okay, well, here's the thing. She's enshrouded in mist.
Yes.
Okay? So she's created a wet environment for herself. She can't see him either. He just charges...
She can detect him. She knows where he is because she can feel the air around her. That's part of her mutant power.
Oh, shit, that's right. You said that.
So what does he do now that he is essentially rendered blind? I'll tell you what he's gonna do.
Okay.
He's gonna do jack shit, and he's gonna fucking die.
I was gonna say, like, he's pretty stealthy.
Okay.
On his own.
How?
He could control, like, the brightness of his suit. So, like, he could, like, dim the colors to, like, black, like, all black. So he just moves stealthily through
that doesn't
through
make
the
a difference.
night.
That doesn't make a difference.
Or he can make his suit, like, super bright, so, like, everyone notices him and it's, like, glowing and stuff. It's pretty cool. That isn't gonna make a difference, you're right.
Yeah. Like, normal people's clothes don't glow. You know that, right? So it's not gonna make a difference. She can detect where he is.
Okay, so here's what he does. He turns into lightning and zips around really fast, just looking for her, just zapping. And then he runs into her and he
Bam.
electrocutes her.
Okay. So she like flies out of the air. I assume she's in the air creating this mist. She falls out of the air onto the ground. And she's hurt. Now her physical being does affect her power somewhat. So
That's right. Like, I remember, like, it's always been, like, a strange mutation for someone. Because usually mutations are, like, physical. But hers is, like, external.
it's a psychic link with the atmosphere around her, basically.
Interesting.
So,
So if she's upset, if
Yeah.
she's depressed, like, the weather's bad. If she's happy, the weather's good.
right, it's tied into her emotions as well. So she's gonna be like pissed off and ready to fight. So she's gonna summon a huge snowstorm, a huge blizzard that has huge hailstones.
Okay. Black Lightning, he's like, oh, geez, there's, hail coming at me. This chick controls the weather. And so he puts up a force field, and he just moves right through it towards her. And then,
What?
yeah. So he's pushing through the
So he's
storm.
blocking the hailstones like bullets.
Yes. Yeah.
Very clever. Very clever.
And once he gets close enough, he like does this sweet gymnast like front handspring flip, and then like does a taser punch to her face.
Dude, why are you hitting women? What an asshole. Asshole. Okay, so she's been hit twice now. She She's gonna suck him up into a tornado.
And then once he starts getting sucked up, he just turns into electricity and gets out of that situation. He like teleports out. This is what I was saying. It's
Okay, so what she's gonna do is she's gonna raise the temperature. No. Yeah, she's gonna raise his bodily temperature so that he's uncomfortable.
His bodily temperature?
Yeah, she could do that. She could also affect the pressure inside of his head to give him a splitting migraine headache.
Well, when he's in his lightning form, like he doesn't need air. He really doesn't have like a physical form. He doesn't need. That's the only way he's able to go into space. Is in his lightning form.
Can he be frozen?
Not in lightning. Can you freeze lightning?
Yeah, man.
No, you can't.
I saw it done in the Thor movie.
What?
When Loki froze the lightning that was powering the Bifrost.
No.
Fuck.
I think this fight is over before it even began.
What are you talking about?
Storm hasn't even touched Black Lightning.
She shoots... okay, so if she shoots lightning at him, it's not going to affect him. He can block hail. Any wind attack that she does, he can zip out of. She can lower the temperature so that it's really cold for him, and he freezes.
Well, then he'll just, generate electricity and heat and warmth with his body and break out of the ice.
You don't get it. Storm is like super powerful. He may be able to do all this shit.
She's like an Omega level mutant, right?
Yeah, she can create like a tropical storm. She just like blows him away to like the next state.
It's all just bad weather to Black Lightning. With a force field, with his energy, and just his power level. Like he could decimate like city blocks with his
so can Storm
power levels.
So can Storm.
Yeah, but like he's just cooler.
It really sucks that she can't shoot lightning at him. I didn't know he can absorb electrical energy.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes him.
I mean, I guess I should have
stronger.
figured it shouldn't hurt him. But I thought I at least had you with the ice and the hail.
Nope.
No, okay, no. The reason Black Lightning's force field even works against bullets is because it's electromagnetic. How is an electromagnetic force field going to stop something that's not made out of metal, like hailstones? It's not going to. It's going to pass right through his force field and hit him.
No, I mean it could block other things other than just bullets. It's blocked punches.
How?
Punches and stuff like that too.
It has?
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, can he fly?
Yeah. Yeah. Through like becoming lightning. But I've also seen like illustrated depictions where like his lower half just becomes lightning and he just like charges around that way.
All right. So before we take it to the stats, I just want to do one thing.
Okay.
She flies at him at full speed and punches him in the face. All right, let's take it to the stats.
All right. Justice, like that sound right there.
That's not the sound of justice. That's the sound of Black Lightning dying
through lightning.
Yes.
This was. I felt bad.
Well, if I would have known that Black Lightning could absorb lightning, I would have told you to go fuck yourself when you brought up this fight. That's all I know.
I think I originally wanted like Storm to go against Starfire, but then like we were doing,
Black History Month.
Yeah.
No, I still think this is a good fight because the powers are comparable, and Storm is super powerful. She just may not have the best powers in this particular match because it seems like everything that she was able to throw at him, he was able to defend against in some way.
Yeah.
Now, I still think that, of course, no character ever wins 100% of the battles. So in the instances in which Storm does win these fights, and I think a majority of these fights, she does it probably with her temperature powers and her wind powers, I think.
I have no idea.
She freezes his ass and then rips his head off like Sub-Zero. That's how it's going to happen.
And then throws it as his junk and they explode, just like Sub-Zero.
Do you want to hear the results?
Yeah, well, let's go over the stats real quick. I mean, the only stat that really stood out to me for Storm, in favor of Storm, was her range. Like, Storm has a really, really large range. Like, few characters that
can affect a mass area like she can.
That don't, like, shoot lasers, like really big, heavy-duty lasers, are able to affect the amount of range that she's able to.
In a wide radius.
Yeah. But even that said, Black Lightning I think he really just overpowered her stat-wise. They were really similar, like in terms of fighting skill, because they both had training from top-level fighters and stuff like that.
I think Storm does have an advantage in terms of strategic intelligence, having been the leader of the X-Men for so many years. I mean, the Outsiders are good and all, but they're not the X-Men.
Yeah, I don't think I even mentioned that. Black Lightning, he did lead the Outsiders. But not only that, he's like the principal of a high school full of teenagers.
Oh, principal of a high school compared to the queen of an entire country of people. Not even a contest. All right. Okay, let's get into the numbers. Okay, so the winner of the Black Lightning Storm Duel matchup is Black Lightning.
Of course.
Fuck you. So he won 77.1% of the matches.
So almost 80.
No.
Dang.
So 771% of the matches, not almost 80. Not even almost 79. Barely almost 78. More, you round it down to 77. We'll just say that. 771 of the matches out of the 1,000, Black Lightning won. And we did factor into the statistics the fact that Storm's most powerful weapon that she wields, being the lightning, is something that actually empowers Black Lightning. Yeah. So it wasn't quite the fair match that I initially thought it was going to be when we were setting up this match.
Same to me. I actually didn't know he was able to do that when we set up the match. So, but once I read that, I was like, oh.
So that's our bad.
Oh, I totally got this.
Well, I kind of assumed that lightning wouldn't hurt him. I didn't know it would make him stronger. I just didn't think it would hurt him, but I still thought, I could do other things, like I said earlier. But that wasn't the case. She didn't have enough going for her to actually hurt him, especially since he can actually turn into a lightning bolt that I did not know he could do. Yeah. So, fool me once, shame on me. That won't happen again, sir. So, yeah, it sucks that this is a tally for DC.
Yay.
They're a bunch of fucking cheaters.
What?
I have nothing else to say about that. Or anything to you, ever.
Congrats to all DC fans everywhere.
All right, that does it for this episode. Go ahead and subscribe to us, and go ahead and give us a rating on iTunes or wherever you happen to listen to your podcasts, or whatever platform.
And if you're a Marvel fan, don't give us a lower rating just because Black Lightning won. Because
it's math. It's legit. Yeah. The numbers check out.
Yeah.
Marvel has won a lot of the past duels. Go ahead and listen to one of those episodes.
And then rate us.
So in the next episode, it's going to be a review. It's going to be a throwback review.
Yeah.
And we're going to be reviewing the movie Green Lantern.
Surprisingly, I didn't even want to do this, but you came up with the idea that let's do Green Lantern Duel for St. Patrick's Day. So I was like, okay.
Yeah. So we're going to review Green Lantern in preparation for the duel that's going to take place for St. Patrick's Day, which is Green Lantern versus Nova.
Right.
Which will be a fight that Nova wins and Marvel redeems itself. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to ripping on DC next week. See, Marvel fans, you're gonna have a good time over these next few weeks. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna tear Green Lantern a new asshole next week. The movie, it's gonna be awesome. I actually kind of enjoyed the movie. It was not great.
No,
it was horrible.
It was not a good movie.
We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it then.
It'll be fun. Go ahead and visit dynamicduel.com to visit the link to our merch site, in which we have a lot of different products that Jonathan and I designed the graphics for.
Yeah. Yeah, and not just merchandise and everything, but if you go to our website, you're going to find links to our social media accounts. So if you're ever, wondering how to find those, it's all there. So definitely check that out.
Yeah, definitely. All right. And so I think that does it. We'll go ahead and talk to you guys in 7 days.
Up and away.
True believers.